You are an evolutionary empath. The world needs your gifts. Hello, sensitive souls, and welcome to my Evolutionary Empath podcast. I'm Stephanie Redfeather, author of the upcoming book, The Evolutionary Empath, which hits shelves next week on November 5th. You can pre-order a copy on my website at bluestartemple.org or through your favorite bookseller. If you go to my website, be sure to download your free copy of my Evolutionary Empath Activation Manual and check out my other products as well. Before we get into today's content, let's check in on last week's self-care tip. How did your smudging practice go? What did you end up using? Sage? Palo Santo? Something else? Did you smudge just yourself, or did you practice on family? Did you attempt to clear a room, or perhaps your entire home? I smudge frequently, at least several times a week. What works best for me is to take a white sage stick and break off the leaves into a heat-proof container, and that way I can carry it around, and I don't have to worry about pieces falling off like you do if you just light the stick and carry the stick around. My smudging practice usually includes first offering smoke to my altar, then smudging myself, and then walking the bowl around my temple space and my office to keep the vibration high and clear. And it's kind of funny, I've used sage for so long that it's like a Pavlov's dog response. As soon as I smell burning sage, my whole system just relaxes and clears and calms down. And I have been relying on this saging practice quite a bit lately. Be sure to tune in all the way to the end of today's episode so you can catch the new self-care tip of the week. In this episode, I want to talk about your energy body. Now, this is a huge topic, and we could go in a dozen different directions with it. So what I will focus on in today's podcast is your energy container as a living, breathing, conscious entity that you inhabit, just like you inhabit your physical body. Specifically, I'll help you visualize your energy container, how it functions, and what happens when we interact with the world. I'll share with you 4 important concepts to understand about your energy container, and I'll give you 2 practices for solidifying and maintaining your edges. When it comes down to it, we are energy beings. If you put anything under a powerful enough microscope, whether that be a rug, a car, a tree, or a human cell, it is just a particle vibrating at a rate of speed. We are electromagnetic beings, and our borders extend way past the edges of just our physical bodies. This field of energy that surrounds you is unique to you, just like a fingerprint or a snowflake pattern. This field is influenced by everything you think, do, feel, and believe. Everything that makes you, you, contributes to the uniqueness of your energy field. And this includes everything you're aware of and everything you aren't aware of. So what might that be, you ask? Well, your shadow, the unconscious parts of you, the subconscious parts of you. There are belief systems, values, hidden agendas, and fears, all buried below our conscious level of recognition. But they are still present, and they still contribute to the totality that is you. Now, if that's not enough to manage, keep in mind that in addition to all the internal influences on your energy field, we are affected by myriad external influences. The weather, marketing messages, the people you're with, what's going on in your environment, relationships, and so much more. And consider, too, the effects of your health, your mental state, your energy level, physical wellness, and stress level. What's interesting about all of this is that changes in either the external or internal factors can affect the opposite one. So, for example, what I mean, say the conversation you're having with your boss or child, an external influence, can affect your internal environment, such as your state of mind, your emotions, or your energy level. And an internal condition, such as depression, A hidden belief that men cannot be trusted, or a criticizing inner voice can affect your ability to do external things like carrying out your work, your ability to have meaningful romantic relationships, etc. And it is certainly well documented the effect our thoughts have on our physical bodies and health. All of these influences taken together mean our energy fields are dynamic and constantly in flux. They are not static. We are bombarded with stimulus of all kinds from many sources all day long. Imagine now being unaware of this energetic ecosystem and what the effects of years of unconscious decisions, habits, and reactions would be. I think we can all relate to that to some degree. I was certainly unconscious for the first 30 plus years of my life. Whenever you deliberately engage in significant transformation, the first step is always acknowledgement of what is. So let me ask you this. What is your level of understanding of yourself as an energy being? Are you as conscious of your energy as you could be, as you'd like to be? In what aspect of your life do you operate unconsciously? You've probably recognized at some point in your life that you are an energy being and that there are interactions and phenomena happening at much subtler levels than we were ever taught. I celebrate you for that. As empaths, it is vital to our well-being that we fully embrace both our physical and metaphysical nature. I mean, it's not like our energetic nature is going to change just because we pretend it's not true or don't want to deal with it. The sooner we can recognize, understand, and accept our energetic container as a real, living, conscious thing, the sooner we can begin to apply crucial daily mindsets and practices for managing our energy field and living more fulfilling lives. I've arranged these important concepts into 4 major points. Number 1, our energy field is affected by everything around us, including both internal and external influences. Number 2, our energy container has both edges and no edges, boundaries and no boundaries. Number 3, energy leaks occur in both directions, into our container and out of our container. And number 4, you can stabilize and build your energy container to mitigate the destabilizing effects of so many internal and external influences. I've already addressed the fact that our energy fields are affected by both internal and external factors. Let me go into the other 3 now in more detail. Energy concept number 2. Our energy container has both edges and no edges, boundaries and no boundaries. People commonly ask, how far out does our energy field extend? How big is it? In one aspect, our energy field is vast and limitless. We can communicate and thus interact on an energetic level with people on the other side of the planet, people traveling in outer space, and people in other dimensions, such as those who have died. We can send our consciousness, and hence our energy, anywhere in space-time. And yet, it is also crucial as human beings to understand and apply the concept of boundaries and finiteness. It can be a bit confounding to imagine something having both an edge and being limitless. This is part of the conundrum of being a spiritual being having a human experience. We are both human and divine. We are both limited and limitless. This is an important concept to understand so that you can become responsible for your energy container and the boundaries you choose to enforce. In visualizing what your personal energy container looks like, I'm not attached to what you see or feel. Some people visualize a bubble, some a cocoon. I have a client that thinks of hers as a hamster ball. Whatever works for you, use it and get intimately familiar with it. As you might expect, it is much easier for empaths to be limitless than to contain ourselves, meaning it is much easier to have no edges, have no boundaries, and pretty much let our energy go everywhere. This is why boundaries and energy management are absolutely critical tools for empaths. For this reason, my focus with empaths is on practices for establishing our edges and drawing boundaries, learning where we end and the next person begins, being responsible for our energy, and staying in our center. I want to read a few paragraphs from my book, The Evolutionary Empath, which applies to this conversation. Quote, "Every day, with every interaction we have, our energy field comes in contact with hundreds and even thousands of other energies. Think of it like this. Pretend that we are all a different color of paint, and with every interaction we have, in person, over the phone, through social media, or by any other method of interacting, we get a little bit of our color on whoever we interact with. So if I'm red and you're blue, and we have a conversation in the grocery store, you walk away with a smudge of red in your blue, and I walk away with a smudge of blue in my red. Can you imagine how many different smudges of paint color we would have all over us at the end of each day? It would be difficult to figure out what color we started out as if we didn't already know. And to be clear, we aren't judging any paint color as good or bad here. Whether we like the person or not, agree with them or not, touch them physically in some way or not, have a happy interaction with them or not, we still exchange paint colors. Being an empath, we naturally have very open energy fields, which, when we're unaware of it, usually translates to loose, sloppy, or non-existent boundaries, meaning that the edges of our container are not well defined, if at all. When we don't recognize we're an empath and aren't conscious of our energy field, we tend to let everybody into our energetic and even physical space indiscriminately. And there are many reasons for this. On the healthy end of the spectrum, it's because we're naturally kind, helpful, compassionate, and thoughtful. On the unhealthy end of the spectrum, it can be because we are codependent, define ourselves by how others view us, or have no idea how to say no. Either way, it is not uncommon for unconscious empaths to walk around carrying everyone they know in their energy field." Unquote. So this is why, on a human, physical, practical level, we must learn to establish and maintain our own sovereign energetic container. This is the limit that I'm talking about, the edge, the finiteness, the boundary. Energy concept number 3. Energy leaks occur in both directions, into our container and out of our container. To understand the concept of energy leaks at a visceral level, I want to take you through a couple of short visualizations. Close your eyes now, take a deep, clearing breath, and call upon the sensations that arise in your body when you are feeling powerful, solid, grounded, confident, energetic, and excited about your life. Fill yourself with these energies and feelings. Look around inside yourself now and look at your energetic container, your edges. How do you feel? What is the consistency, structure, or content of your container? What does it look like? How big is it? Now, release that experience and open your eyes. When you are in a positive and powerful state, fully embodied, alert, and present, your energy container is solid and defined, with fewer, if any, holes or leaks. you're able to discern your edges. Your container is able to fully contain you, and you have clear boundaries. Your container is in integrity. Close your eyes again, and now imagine what it feels like in your body when you feel weak, disempowered, or codependent, or when you're suppressing your truth, doubting yourself, and feeling afraid. Now, how do you feel? What is different in the consistency, structure, or content of your container? What does it look like? How big is it? And now take a deep breath to clear that visualization out of your energy field. Shake out your hands, open your eyes, and return to a neutral state. When you are in a disempowered or fearful state, it usually means you are partially disembodied, not fully present, acting on autopilot, and often regressed. In this condition, the integrity of your energy container is obliterated. It looks like Swiss cheese, leaking energy like a sieve. Boundaries are non-existent, and you probably feel exposed, weak, and vulnerable. When your container has leaks, it means you are either venting vital energies out into the ethers, or not containing your life force energy and using it consciously, or you're allowing compromising energies from others or from the environment into your space, or both. Leaks show up as all kinds of unhealthy behaviors, including squishy boundaries, disempowering money habits, codependent relationships, taking on problems that aren't yours, not speaking your truth, suppressing your authentic self, feeling responsible for other people's emotions, and letting people take advantage of you, to name a few. And you will often find that if you have a leak in one area of your life, there's probably a leak in other areas of your life as well. If the concept of energy leaks intrigues you and you want to learn more, I invite you to order a copy of my book, The Evolutionary Empath, where I go into great detail about energy leaks, including naming what each one is, a long list of examples of those kinds of leaks, and remedies. Energy concept number 4. You can stabilize and build your energy container to mitigate the destabilizing effects of so many internal and external influences. Part of the spiritual and emotional maturation process is learning to tune into, manage, and care for your energy field and employ practices to keep it as stabilized as possible. With attention and practice, you can sustain a more consistently intact container and develop the skills to restore balance quickly. Here are 2 simple practices to help you get started with that. The first one, no surprise, is awareness. Consciousness practices exist for a reason. They make us more conscious of whatever it is we're putting our attention on. In this case, I invite you to put your attention on your container. Remember earlier when I talked about the bubble or the cocoon? Take a moment now to picture your energy container. Close your eyes if that helps, and let your psyche offer you a shape. What is the shape of your energy container? If you're not a visual person, no problem. Then imagine a sensation or a knowingness that tells you what your container looks like. Very good. And you can open your eyes. So the idea is start paying attention to your container multiple times throughout the day. Remember, our energy bodies are dynamic, always in flux, always being affected by different circumstances, emotions, situations. So especially if something significant happens, either positive or negative, you want to check in with how that affected your container. As soon as it registers that something has destabilized your container, or you identify a leak either going out or coming in, use your intention to make the necessary repairs to your container. Take some deep breaths, use any energy clearing practice you've learned, and visualize your edges coming back into integrity. Over time, you'll recognize imbalance sooner and become more adept at making the necessary adjustments. This attention over time will help fortify your container and make it more impervious to chaos and overstimulation. Remember that building your container is most definitely like building a muscle. It's going to take regular practice and exercise. The second practice to help stabilize and build your energy container is to focus on holding a specific positive emotion or condition. At first, this may seem silly, but I have found it a common condition that so many of us can only hold space for so much success, so much joy, so much abundance, so much love, so much ease. And then our container collapses when it gets to be too big or too much based on our internal programming. One that has been chronically difficult for me to hold has been joy. There is an internal program running that says life is hard, full of suffering and disappointment, and happy moments are fleeting and scarce. Try holding a big space for joy when that's the subconscious belief you hold. I have worked hard to expand my joy container. So what is it for you? What is hard for you to have a lot of in your life? Whatever that is, set your intention to practice holding more of it and to hold it for longer periods of time. As you do this, it's also important to notice what demolishes the container. Is it a length of time? Is it a specific person? Is it some sort of emotional trigger? Pay attention and see if a pattern emerges, which it might very well do, and that it might point to some inner work that needs to be done. In summary, your energy field is a complicated and complex living organism. It is intelligent and communicative. It is constantly in flux, adjusting to your mood, physical state, the environment, your inner dialogue, and people you interact with. The most important and fundamental tool in working with your energy field is always going to be awareness, which comes from simple repetitive practice. Okay, friends, it's time for this week's self-care tip. And this week, I want to focus on movement. If you're a workout maven, hey, call it exercise. If you're a yogi, then call it yoga. If you can't stand anything that even smacks of an elevated heart rate, then call it a walk in the garden. Whatever you have to tell yourself, I invite you to move your body continually now for 30 minutes every day this week. And if that's impractical, shoot for 5 days this week. There are many benefits to even the most moderate activity. First, our lymphatic system is a manual system, meaning there's no organ to pump the fluid, like the heart does for our cardiovascular system. The lymphatic system is a network of tissues and organs that help rid the body of toxins and waste. And when you're stagnant and don't move, toxins build up. Regular physical activity can also improve your muscle strength and boost your endurance. Movement delivers oxygen and nutrients to your tissues and helps your cardiovascular system work more efficiently. Plus, so many more advantages that I don't have time to expound on, and I know you've heard all of these before, so I won't beat you over the head with them. But even more fundamental than all of these benefits, human bodies were not built to sit at a computer or desk or in a car for 8 hours a day. We're built to move. We're built to be active, and our bodies respond positively to that. And conversely, we also know how sluggish and pent up we feel when we don't get enough movement. So tune into the intelligence of your own body. What do you need? What is your body asking for? Your intuition will tell you, and your body knows what's good for it. So whether you walk, dance, ride the bike, do yoga, or rake leaves, think of movement as an act of loving yourself. Can you love yourself for 30 minutes a day this week? See how it goes, and let me hear about your experiences on my Facebook page. Okay, my fellow sensitives, thanks so much for tuning in today. Next week, our topic is, woohoo, boundaries. This is one of the most critical skills for empaths, and I have lots of tools to share with you. I'm Stephanie Redfeather, and if you want to find out more about me, my upcoming book, The Evolutionary Empath, or any of my other products and services, go to my website at bluestartemple.org. You can find me also on Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you like this podcast, be sure to like and subscribe to the Sacred Stories podcast. Remember, my fellow sensitive souls, you are an evolutionary empath. The world needs your gifts.